Hi, would you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Tania Li, Professor of Anthropology from the University of Toronto in Canada.
You have been saying that the great move of people from one area to the other around the world is pretty much over. Can you elaborate on that somewhat?
What I mean is that this great transition, as you described it, it's a far too homogeneous narrative, as if the same transition is going to happen in each and every country. If you think about the kind of repetition of the 18th, 19th century in Europe, move from country to city, from farming to factory, but why would you expect the same transition to occur in every part of the world, especially in an era of globally circulating capital? Capital can land anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to land in every country where, let's say, manufacturing jobs are currently needed. Right? So there's a kind of a mismatch between a narrative which assumes a national frame and the global circulation of capital, which just does not produce the same transition everywhere. So what we're dealing with is a vastly heterogeneous set of transformations in different parts of the world, rather than one big story.
The World Bank has been saying that employment can come from large-scale agricultural projects, but I understand that you disagree with them.
Do the headcount is what I would say. Do the headcount of livelihoods displaced, because these areas of large-scale land acquisition are seldom empty. People are already living there, gaining livelihoods there. So you have to take that as your baseline and then look at the number of jobs created. And the bank itself has acknowledged in some of its later work that in most cases it's a deficit. So you're not actually producing more jobs or livelihoods. Different ones, different people will have jobs, but other people will lose the livelihoods that they had before and will now be in trouble, right? So I think you have to do the headcount, do the math, before you could make those kinds of arguments. So the field that I'm currently working in on plantations, oil palm plantations, they employ basically one person per 10 hectares, which is not a lot.
So what will happen?
Well, what I'm suggesting is that it means that one has to plan for that heterogeneity. You can't just say we don't need to worry about what will happen to the people because they will all find somewhere else to go and something else to do. They'll go to the city where they will find jobs. That's a comforting narrative, but I think it's based on a wrong premise that we can assume this movement, we can assume that cities will generate the jobs to absorb them. If you take away that assumption, then you have to plan much more seriously for the idea that the countryside in Asia and sub-Saharan Africa will continue to be densely populated, a source of livelihood for around half the population, and that's then what you have to make central to your planning, right? The people will be there, they have to have a place to live, they have to have ways of living. No doubt they would also like their cell phones to work and their kids to have a decent school. It doesn't mean, the peasant society of old. It means, rural livelihoods and rural societies which are vibrant on into the future rather than an evacuated countryside.